Hallo Deutsch 2101, this is Herr D again for another tutorial. This time we're going to discuss the accusative case, and just to note, pretty much all four of these cases can be used within one sentence, but I'm just focusing primarily on each of these cases individually, and we'll see other examples throughout the semester that show all of them together. As we saw in the previous nominative tutorial, we have sentences for the which are consisting of the subject plus the predicate. The accusative case does also include a subject, but it also includes what's called a direct object. Okay? And so, for example, we have, let's look at these first few. Nina tanzt gern, Nina und Alexander gehen oft in die Disco. Okay, so we have subjects over here, and then we just have other parts of speech, which in this case, gern is an adverb, and oft in die Disco is a prepositional phrase. Mein Bruder Alfred verdient viel Geld. Now we have a subject, verb, and then what we have here is the direct object. The direct object, well, we'll get other examples of this. The easiest example I can tell you is that the accusative is going to be, let's put it this way. If you, are writing a paper, reading a book, cooking dinner, riding a bike, you, the individual doing all those actions, would be the subject. Alright? Reading a book, the book would be the object. The dinner would be the object. The bike would be the object. So those are all considered the accusative part of the sentence. Subject would be you. Okay? So let's look at some of these examples. So we have all this list on the left-hand side. Okay, would be the nominative, and then the accusative being on the right-hand side. Der Pullover ist schön. Okay. The sweater is nice, beautiful, lovely. Ich kaufe den Pullover. Okay. Using the indefinite article, ein Pullover ist teuer. Okay. Ich brauche einen Pullover. So we can see we have these masculine pullover, der and ein, and they change from den to einen. Really, that's the only change that's going to happen to any of the articles. Okay, das sweatshirt, ein sweatshirt remains das and ein sweatshirt when they are objects. Ich kaufe das Sweatshirt, ich brauche ein Sweatshirt. Die Jacke, eine Jacke, in the nominative case, still remain die Jacke and eine Jacke when they are direct objects, and same with plural, die Schuhe, ich kaufe die Schuhe. Alright, now we have two comparisons using the nominative in the top row, accusative in the second bottom row. Okay, and as we can see, der einen kein Rock versus den einen keinen Rock. Okay, everything else stays the same, regardless if they are the subject or the direct object. Okay? So, the nominative interrogative pronoun is wer, who. Alright, the accusative is going to be wen, whom. Now recall, from the dative, there is one other way of using whom, and that's wem. Okay? So the easiest way I like to use this would be wer, wen, and wem, and just think of the masculine. Ihn, ihm. Okay, and that will maybe make sense a little later on. Nominative, wer arbeitet als Physiotherapeuten? Okay, wer ist Nina's Lieblingstante? Okay, so notice these are just asking simple questions. Who works as a physical therapist, and who is Nina's favorite aunt? In the accusative case, we change these to wen. Wen besucht Nina in Salzburg, and wen findet Robert langweilig? Okay, whom is Nina visiting in Salzburg, and whom does Robert find boring? Now this sounds somewhat odd to the native speaker of English because a lot of times we tend to simply just use who for all these, but it is very distinct when you need to use whom and when you need to use who. Fortunately, in German, those are separated by different letters. And And just as the definite articles have changes, so do the indefinite articles, as well as the possessive adjectives. Okay? For example, ein Computer, einen Computer, euer Computer, euren Computer, mein Computer, meinen Computer. Okay, and I'm just focusing on the masculine because the others stay the same. We'll see some examples of these momentarily. Okay. The nominative was showing der rote, just as we see with das blaue Hemd, die braune. But in the accusative it changes, den roten Pulli, einen roten Pulli, deutschen Wein. So when would you use these? Well, I might say, ich möchte den roten Pulli. Ich möchte einen roten Pulli. Okay? So I'd like the red sweater. I'd like a red sweater. Or I could just say a simple statement. Ich trinke gern deutschen Wein. I like to drink German wine. And that's how that would be said. Using nicht. Okay? So for example, and this is always something that can be changed at times, and I say that only because of how you want to emphasize something. Okay? Es ist nicht kalt, ich koche nicht gern, ich gehe nicht ins Kino. Nicht must precede these adjectives, adverbs, and phrases. Okay, but it is going to follow a direct object. Goodbye Lenin ist ein guter Film. Mein Freund kennt den Film nicht. So Goodbye Lenin is a good movie, a good film. My friend does not know the movie. Does not know the movie. Notice in English it's a completely different use of the word order. Okay. This slide is included in here, not necessarily to do with the accusative case, just where it falls within a particular chapter that I've used to describe this part of the grammar. Nevertheless, this is a good chart to know. As a matter of fact, this was one of the verbs we used today in today's lesson. Fahren. Der Mann fährt durch die Stadt. Okay, so here we have verbs with stem vowel changes, and there are 4 common groups: E to I to IE, A to A umlaut, and this actually should be AU to AU with the umlaut. Sprechen, lesen, fahren, laufen. Okay? These are the most commonly used verbs with these. I to I, essen, geben, nehmen, sprechen, versprechen, werden. To eat, to give, to take, to speak, to promise, to become. Lesen and sehen, to read, to see. Backen, fahren, halten, lassen, schlafen, tragen, waschen. To bake, to drive, to hold, or to keep. Lassen, to let, schlafen, to sleep, tragen, to carry, or to wear, waschen, to wash, laufen, to run. Das ist alles für den Akkusativfall. Dankeschön. Tschüss.